We've gone through the basics of rich text and exactly what rich text is, so we're going to go ahead and get started on actually how it works in the PageWorks system. We'll take a look at our at our rich text window. Oh, before we get started, I did notice that that the audio and the video of the last tutorial kind of walked away from each other a little bit, so I'm going to do some piecing together of these things, some stopping and starting, hopefully invisible stopping and starting to prevent that from happening, and I apologize for that. That was a bit of a nuisance. Starting at the left of the screen is the source button that we played around with just a little bit before. If we type anything into this box directly, which we're going to do, our favorite cliche, if you look at the source, it actually shows us what the markup code is. So if you actually know HTML and would like to get in and tinker with that a little bit, you can, and we may have some tutorials coming up about that just a little bit. The one thing that this is useful for those of you who really don't want to peek at all that gibberish is when you have a lot of stuff in here, and it's especially important, I think, when you paste things in, because sometimes some of that behind-the-scenes code can get in there and clutter things up. So when you go to get rid of all this stuff, in this case, I'm going to highlight it. I'm just going to use the delete key on my keyboard, and you want to make sure that it's gone. So if you decided to take yourself back to a blank screen and start over, click that source button, and then you can make sure that everything is out of there. Click it back, and now we're back into our regular rich text editing window. Moving across to the right, this is a preview button. You can use this if you want. It just shows a pop-up of what that text looks like in the another browser window. However, in PageWorks, you have a preview button down here. I would recommend using that because you will actually see your headlines. Now, in this case, we don't have a headline, but you can get a little bit better idea of what it looks like on the page. But just for a quickie down and dirty preview, you can certainly use this button as well. Moving across the top, I don't want to spend any time on the really obvious ones. For example, you've got a cut, copy, paste. I'm going to skip over these next two. We have a spell checker. Now, when you do this spell checker, you may get a pop-up window that says the spell checker. What does it say? I'm trying to remember that the IE spell or something like that is not installed. There's a tutorial about putting that in, so you might check that out if you want to have a spell checker. You have undo and redo icons. So if we were to say cut this out of here and paste, and then I change my mind on that, I can undo it. I can redo. Now, I used a right click when I cut that out of there. Remember, when we use our buttons, you may or may not get that security warning that asks us if we want to allow this site to access. And there, I got it. We always allow access. Needless to say, we don't have to worry about our own site being malicious. I don't want to spend too much time on these others. Most of them look pretty familiar to you. Most anybody has used Microsoft Word and other word processing programs. If we were to make this bold, we can make it italic, we can underline it. We have a button over here that will actually let us remove all of the formatting that we've done to that site, or to that particular text. We can make let's just leave that. We can make bullets. Similar to Microsoft Word, we can make numbered bullets. One. Well, that should have kept on going. Rich text can be a little tricky. Anyway, let's just keep on moving. I don't want to get these tutorials too out of hand. Over here is just a block quoting option that lets you move text inside a little block indents, basically is what it does. This is your obvious right, left, justify, things like that. Then we have some other icons over here for adding links, photos. Now I'm going to just click out of these because this is going to take us into another tutorial when we get into that. This lets us put in a horizontal line. We have options to put in some special characters if we like our little copyright C. And then we can also use some headers. Now remember, in PageWorks you have headlines and subheads up here, but if your article, for example, has several different headings you want to use, you can use your rich text editor to do that. This allows us to see everything in a full screen. We're going to jump back. And we also have here what's called an auto save option. Let me show you real quickly how that works. Okay, I apologize for a little bit of jumpiness there. That was one of those stops and starts I talked about earlier that didn't quite go like I wanted to. Okay, this auto save function, when we type in whatever we want to type in. Boy, I cannot type today. If you watch this icon over here, do you see how it just did that little check motion? It's automatically saving this to a separate database table. We can force an autosave if we want. And what that does is, if you recall, when we go back and we decide we're done and we don't, we've decided to okay that thing because we're okay with with losing our changes. But if you notice, up in our admin bar at the top, this little R has appeared. That is a copy that has been saved because the PageWorks system said, okay, we've typed in some stuff, we didn't save it, just in case we're going to hang on to it. So you can then copy and paste that back into a new form. You may lose some formatting, you may lose some stuff, but it can certainly be better than losing a whole lot of work that you've labored over typing into that form. Now when you do actually do a save, which we'll do that now, we'll go ahead and paste that back in, allow access. When we actually save this content, as you can see, that little R goes away. Alright, I want to just cover two more quick things here, and then we'll call this tutorial over. Okay, the last thing I wanted to cover, if you recall, when we played around with our copying pasting from Google. We went to Google, we selected everything. We did this in our last tutorial. We pasted it in, and it actually pasted in the Google page. Now, just to make this faster, I'm going to delete that out this way. Okay, if we want to just get the text off of that page, that's what those icons that we skipped over are for. So again, I'm gonna do my copy. Now see where this little T is. If you hover over that, it says paste as plain text. I've pasted it in. It's actually just taken the text off of that page. This last icon has a W, which helps us with some content from Microsoft Word, and we're going to have some discussions about Microsoft Word in a future tutorial. So we'll see you the next time.